Welcome to the Come Hang podcast. I am your host, Specialist Bronson. After serving in the military, I am fascinated by the remarkable stories of those that continue to dedicate their lives to service leadership and leaving no one behind. In our mission to inspire, educate, and collaborate, we invite you to come hang. All right, welcome back to the show. I have got a guest on here, Amanda. How do you say your last name so I don't butcher it?
Seward.
Okay. All right, Amanda Seward. She came from me as a referral from Johnny Sandoval, who was my last guest, another adaptive sports veteran that came on our cast. And apparently he reached out to Amanda and she reached out to me. So we are on a pretty cold interview here. I know very, very little to anything about our guest, and I hear she has an amazing story to share. So we are here today with Amanda. Amanda, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Very much appreciate any time.
All right. So let's start by, let's just dive back into your childhood. Kind of give us a little bit of an idea where you come from, kind of how you were raised, kind of some of those impactful moments in your life growing up, and kind of bring us, you served in the military, is that correct?
I did. I was in the Army for 10 years.
10 years. Okay. Let's go ahead.
Well, to answer a couple of the questions you asked, I was born and raised in Indiana in this little town called Fairmount, which is the hometown of James Dean and Jim Davis. So that's, the one thing we got going for us. And I grew up in the country, so it's just kind of outside all the time, playing, was always kind of active and school related. I was, for the most part, if I paid attention, I was pretty good in school. I would say there were some rough upbringings. I don't really want to dive too much into that because that's a story in itself. It kind of shaped things and how I grew up and how I learned and adapted over time through the military and then post injury and recovery and all that. So I do have to say, even though parts of it weren't so great, I am happy for it because it's made me into who I am today.
Perfect. So when did you join the military, and what was kind of the driving force that led you to want to make that decision?
So I joined in 2011, and the driving force was, well, our town doesn't really have much going for it, and everybody just kind of gets stuck and doesn't leave. And I'm like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be just another number of somebody else who's not really making it. And so I wanted to be something and make something of myself and kind of prove to myself that I could be better. And yeah, it was a pride thing for me and a reason to grow.
Awesome. Now, you said you joined the Army. What was your MOS and what was your duty station?
So I worked in supply as a 92 Yankee. And then my main duty station was being a part of the 1438 Transportation Company. That I was in the National Guard. And so that landed me, I think I was there maybe 5 or 6, 7 years, I think. And then I had one deployment with them. And then I had a deployment with the 38th Sustainment Brigade, which the 1438 fell under, and I was voluntold for that. But that's a story. That's a story we can get into.
Okay, I can't wait. So, first deployment, when was it? Where did you go?
First deployment was in 2013. I had actually just gotten back from basic and AIT when they're like, and go to my first drill station, and they're like, yeah, by the way, we're deploying and you're going with us. Oh, um, okay, cool, 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 cool. So we deployed in 2013 to Camp Phoenix, Kabul, in Afghanistan. I would say I was very wet behind the ears, but also I thought my shit didn't stink.
Okay.
So there were some times I got in trouble, but I learned a lot about supply, and um, I was very I took pride in my job, but my old boss and we would call it a love-hate relationship. And if it was like really stressful and everything, our little motto would be, I love my job. Yes, I do. Like, okay, you got to keep going. Like, whether that, like, this really sucks, but here we go. Um, we had a moment where it was like the S shed. And so we were in front of the maintenance, and so supply and maintenance, we were like besties. And sometimes that little shed, because there was only 2 rooms, got really small. And there's all these books, all this stuff. I was always having to order ADO, which was all of our gear and anything that like folks would need throughout the time we were there. And of course, we had our TPE, theater property equipment, um, our own equipment, and then we also fell under, or the Bulgarians fell under us, so we took care of their equipment. So we had 3 different I can't even remember what they're called anymore. The hand receipts. So we would have to go, and like every month I would go with some new lieutenant or sergeant, and we would be going and checking, hey, make sure this is here. Hey, let's make sure that this is here. I learned what was and what wasn't, and because they didn't know either, they're like, my team was full of truck drivers, so they're kind of just as lost as I was, but maybe about the middle of the month, I'd be like, "Oh, hey, I know what this is now." Like, and I'd climb up and I'd get that little serial number and climb back down. It's very dusty over there for sure.
Oh, I bet. And how long were you there for? How long was your deployment?
We were over there for about a year.
Wow. Okay. Give me just 1 second. What's the highs and lows of that first deployment?
Question. Um, I would say the highs was me kind of, it became kind of my battle rhythm. Like once I ordered ADO and everything, and then boxes would come in, I'd write this list of, hey, who had their stuff, and go pick it up. And I would run over to our talk, and I'd post it up. I would sit there and talk to a couple people over there. And we had wonderful times. And then it was also part of my battle rhythm, where I'd go over and I would hang out with the maintenance guys. And one of my really good friends, Sergeant Jesse, like we would see each other, and just our thing was to go like rock on, and as a like, hey, hello. And that kind of like would make my day. um some of the other highs was I ended up taking over, on Fridays. I would host karaoke nights, and
Fun.
so that that was a lot of fun. We had one time where the special forces guys kind of came over and stole the show. They were wearing like the green suits, but it was like green, red, yellow, and then big old wigs, and that was absolutely fun. I had one one soldier who he was getting ready to leave with his unit, and we convinced him to sing Genuine. And he tried to hit this note. He tried so hard, and I just dropped down laughing so hard. It makes my day just thinking about it. And sometimes I like to send him a message every now and then, like, "Hey, remember this?" He's like, when I told him I still had it a while ago, he's like, "You better delete that, man."
No way. That's awesome.
uh, um, I guess some of my lows, of course, being on a deployment, it gets really hard. Sometimes it gets really tense. Oops. It gets really tense. And so sometimes, of course, your boss and you're going to butt heads. And um there were some things I didn't necessarily quite agree with. Um I had folks that would, I guess, be mad that I had my blouse off, but there were plenty of other men and females that had their blouses off, but it was wrong for me to. So I was like, that's not cool, but I guess whatever. And so sometimes that, like, if anything, that became the issue a lot. And that was kind of, I think, one of the catalysts between my boss and I that just kind of blew us up. And like, we didn't talk to each other for like a week. Everything that we needed to say was sent in emails, which I admit I was a little crazy. So I don't know. Some of the other lows, I guess, was I ended up finding out that one of my family members, like my great grandma, she had passed away. But how I found out was in the morning via Facebook, not through, hey, somebody messaging me. It was a Facebook post. I was like, oh no. That's so great to find out. And we had one soldier. He was going through a lot back home, and he was just kind of diving into like working out at the gym and everything. And he was taking a lot of C4, and he ended up he went to the gym, and he like went to breakfast with his buddies, and he like passed out, and he never really woke back up again. So that was really hard on a lot of us because he was such a sweetheart. And like his hair, like he took pride in his hair. And so his hair was really soft, and everybody loved his hair. So like sometimes I'd come by and I'd just rub his hair like, hey, I just need a little pick me up.
So he passed away unexpectedly, passed out and never woke up.
Yeah.
Wild.
And I was walking with my roommate, and we're like, what the heck is going on? And like, we're just like, man, this is not good. Like, because Sergeant Killian, he's a big boy. And we're all like, this is not good. What is going on? Because like, he was crying, and we're like, super concerned. But then we found out later that day what happened. And that was a very low part for everybody combined.
Oh yeah, I could imagine.
Because, yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to share about that first deployment?
I don't think so. I think that kind of picks up
Are
the
you
good lows.
okay? Are you currently married?
No, I have a boyfriend. We actually just started dating about, we've been dating for about a year and a half now,
Very
which
nice.
has honestly been the best relationship I've been in ever, ever.
Good.
And when I met him, I told him to his face, all men are trash. I'm like, I'm done. Like I was done with all men, everybody. And it was like kind of like a, he never told me this, like, checkmate, okay, well, I'm going to show you, but he has showed me, and he
Prove you otherwise.
consistently showed me, so he's really
That's
amazing.
fantastic. Now, were single the whole time going through your deployments? Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
I've been single most of my life, so
Okay.
pretty much everything I've done has kind of been on my own.
Good for you. That's empowering.
Thank you.
It's
It
inspiring.
it is. It's inspiring, but it can also be extremely exhausting and can be debilitating, and sometimes it literally wrecks your soul.
Okay. All right. Let's you finish up your deployment, you come back. Um what how does transitioning coming back? Did you have any complications? How was it coming back to not quite civilian life? You're still in the military, but how is it coming back stateside and adjusting back into the dynamics of civilian life?
Um, I think for the first deployment, it was a little weird because all of a sudden, we're on that deployment. We don't really have access to phones, and the phone I did have was was a Nokia, and I had to have it for my position. And so I remember coming back home, and I was rooming with two of the other girls from my deployment and one of my best friends. And well, she wasn't with us, but she was my best friend. She'd come over and hang out a lot. And I remember we were talking on the phone, and I was like, hold on, let me find my phone. I can't find it. Like, I need you to help me find it, right? And and then she's over here, she's over there too, trying to help me, like, find it. She's like, is it over there? And I'm like, it took us all a little minute. Like, wait a minute, what do you mean? Like, we're on the phone.
That's awesome.
So the phone thing was hard, and then I remember her and we went to watch a movie in theaters, and it was the one with Mark Wahlberg in it. Lone Survivor, right?
Lone survivor. Okay.
And we're kind of okay for most of the part till towards the end where it gets just really crazy. And we just end up holding each other. We're just crying tears. And then we hear these little teenagers in the back just giggling and laughing, thinking it's just the funniest thing in the world. And like that kind of irritated us a
Yeah.
lot. Um,
Have you
I
seen what's the one? Thank You for Your Service.
I did. I did. That one's what is his name? He's got like severe PTSD and everything, and then he's at the VA, and
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. So um I went to watch that one with my wife when we were dating. She took me to go see it, and I did fine through the whole show um, until it got to the end when they were doing a military funeral and a 21 gun salute.
Hmm.
And nope, that one was my
Yeah.
trigger, and I had to walk out of it. And yeah, that one was a rough one. Um, I served 4 years in the military. I did not deploy. I got injured pre-deployment in a training mission exercise, blew out both my ankles, and had to get them reconstructed. So
Ouch.
I stayed back on rear detachment, while and got my surgeries and learned to walk again and all that kind of good stuff. So I got to attend lots of military funerals from my guys that died over there, and so that was kind of rough. So yeah, military funerals in the 21 gun salutes. Those have always been triggers for me. Anytime I see a flag draped casket, those are sucky times. So, um, but what I was getting at here is when I walked out of that theater, um, I went out, sat in the hall, and sat down. And I was crying for a bit, and next thing I know, people came out, and there were several people that just came up. I didn't know who they were, but they just came up and sat next to me and put their arms around me, and they're just like,
Oh,
"Thank you." And that one, it had an impact, and I have never been in a situation myself where I've had the public be disrespectful. But my first guest, Brad Howe. Do you know Brad Howe? Have you met him?
I think so.
He's like
Is
big, huge
he a
volunteer with all the
double
adaptive sports.
is he a double amputee?
Nope.
Nope,
Okay.
never mind.
He is the one that introduced me to Johnny and Wendy Major. Have you met Wendy Major?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have. Actually, uh I was very briefly at the Winter Sports Clinic this year, and she was all excited to be snowboarding, and she's like Amanda, and she's like, I'm like, yeah. She's like I think we know each other from before. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you were in Fort Hood, right? During 2013. I'm like, yeah. She's like, I think I've worked with you. I'm like, maybe, but like, sure. I don't know why it'd be that memorable, but okay.
So you had met her. Okay. I was seeing if I could find a picture here of Brad and I'd send it to you. My guess is you probably would recognize him, especially because he's all over with when he's always out there doing the winter sports clinics and stuff like that. Um, anyway, he's just a genuine dude. He was actually my very first guest when I started this podcast. He's the one that got me into sled hockey. He's just been a really good friend of mine. And when he was on telling his story, when he got back from Vietnam, um, when he got off the airport, off the plane, there were people spitting on him, throwing things at him. And he was so ashamed. He went home, put his uniform in the closet, and didn't take it out for, he said, almost a decade. And that
Wow.
one hurt. That one, I was like, damn. So, okay. How long, let's move forward. How long after you got back from that deployment, how long of a break till you did your second?
Um, 5 years.
5 years. Okay. So a little bit of time in between there. Okay. And then you said you got ball and told to go. Let's
Yes.
hear that
I
story.
mean, now, don't get me wrong. I had put my name in the hat like a while ago, but then like kind of forget about it. And you're like, okay, whatever. Like, I guess I'm not getting picked. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh my gosh, we were at AT in Fort Polk, and holy crap, that that was wild because we were at the very end of AT, and I get the phone call and Sergeant Love had just became the new supply sergeant, and she was so excited to have me because she had been trying to pull me into her unit to help her supply guys. And she was like, yeah, I made it. Like, I came over to you. Okay, cool. Like, I'm so excited for this. And then she calls me up and she's like, hey, um, I have to get your sizes for things. Like, well, why? She's like, you're going on a deployment with the 38th Sustainment. Oh, okay. All right. Well, that really sucks. I'm kind of sad about that, but kind of happy at the same time.
Okay. So you did not get to deploy with her? Is that what you're saying?
No, no. She was part of the 1438th. So,
Okay.
um, I became part of the 38th Sustainment Brigade.
Got it. So she went to all those efforts to try to get you over to her just for nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it sucked so much because she was so cool. The supply sergeant we had before, he was he was something. And um, there were some things I've had to say to certain people about his actions. And I tried to ask him, I'm like, hey, like, I know your comms and everything before, and I know you don't know much about supply. Like, I don't know much either, but I know that if there's anything I can do, I can help you. He's like, okay, well, that never happened. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, it's out there. I'm still going to do my job.
So let me ask you this, and I don't know how else any other way to ask it other than just direct. Did you experience or do you feel that women were treated differently than the men?
Yes,
Like
100%.
blatantly obvious?
100%.
Okay.
Multiple times in multiple scenarios. Like that instance where I was telling you about the first deployment.
Hmm.
Like uh it's clear via that story that um I'm a little more well endowed than some other women. And so they didn't like that my shirt would be off. Like, so they took offense to that. And some of these women seem to like, oh well, to be blatant about it, seem to use their bodies to get what they wanted. And I'm like, this is like super gross. Like I see what you're doing. I don't really applaud you for it, but I see you.
Yeah.
Um and sometimes the men, I don't know. I just felt like I've always had to work harder and push harder. Even though like they see me, I don't feel like I was respected.
That was going to be my next question is did you feel like you had to put in twice the effort to get half the same respect? And
Yeah.
okay. How mixed was your unit? How many girls did you have with you? You know, per se, I mean, ratio wise, did you have much of a support team?
Um, there were some, we had some mixtures of different ethnicities and women. I think it was mostly on the first deployment, it mostly white men.
Okay.
Um, and on my second deployment, it was much more of a mixture of folks. But also we, being the brigade, we were kind of like a little more separated and in our own tents. And um some of them, my second deployment was in the vacation deployment to Kuwait. So, and we were at Kabul, but we also had some people who were over in Jordan. We had some people somewhere else. And they have some stories over in Jordan that they could tell. There's a lot of stuff that went wrong on that deployment, and there's a lot of things that I definitely did not approve of and made me feel a certain way. And I filed an EO complaint on a couple people.
Okay. All right. So, second deployment, you were in Kuwait. Why did you say it's vacation?
Well, there's literally what we call Fat Alley. And Fat Alley had Baskin Robbins, Charlie's, Starbucks, um, I think some other food place. And then you go over to Zone 1 and there's a Dunkin' Donuts in the little shopping area. There's uh, a Taco Bell. There's a smoothie. Oh my God, though. Like, if you go into, like, I think it's Zone 2, like, I would I loved going and getting these smoothies. They were top tier, so good. And like I would get fried rice with it, and that was really yummy for me. But that was like a treat. Um, but yeah, they and then I mean we had a pool, and so literally it's a vacation deployment because I got over there and I'm used to keeping my weapon, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to turn your weapon in." What?
Oh,
I'm not
wow.
doing that. I'm not doing that. They're like, Amanda, you have to, or Seward, you have to turn your weapon in. I don't like that at all. I would like to keep mine. They're like, no, you have to turn it in.
Wow.
Whatever, I guess. This is really weird. And then we really didn't work on the weekends. So like it was a vacation to us.
Okay.
It was a it was a weird, but the unit made it a deployment.
Got it. Yeah. My co-host, Carl Ream, is in the Navy Reserves, active reserves. He spends more time active duty than he does not. He's currently deployed right now to Djibouti, Africa. Um, and he's doing a lot of work now. They're doing a lot of support for the Strait of Hormuz and that kind of stuff over there. But his last deployment last year and a half ago, he went to Italy, and he called that his vacation tour as well. He was there, I want to say 9 months, and they wore civvy clothes every day. As soon as they got there, they put all their uniforms away, so they were in civvies all the time. It was literally a 9 to 5. At 5 o'clock, they were off. They went, could go do whatever they wanted. So him and another buddy, he had a friend there that was big into scuba diving. So he went and got scuba certified. And every weekend they'd go out and find some new place to dive. And they dove the Red Sea a lot, he said. But he said, yeah, it was a vacation deployment. He's like,
Yeah.
we had all the bells and whistles and all the amenities we needed, and phones and internet. And he's like, yeah. And this deployment, he told me he's not even stationed to a ship. He's on a post. So he's not out in the waters. So, so
Wow.
yeah, he's busy, but he says he's having a good time. So,
I bet. I bet.
okay. Let's hear about your second deployment, highs, lows, experiences. What's the stories to tell?
Where to begin? Oh boy. Um, I would say some of my highs was hanging out with the comms people. Like they were like my second family for me. And so when I'd be having a hard time or whatever, I would go over there and I'd go hang out and talk to them. And their little supply guy, like he wasn't supply, so he would call on me a lot to ask for help. And so I would help him through ordering stuff because we went from Peebus to G Army. I think that's what it is now. And so I would go over and help him. Um, and then I guess one of my highs was like one, I got like really dark olive skin, and I was like, man, like it was the best my skin had ever felt. And I was like, wow, this supplement has done great for me. Um, and then we would sometimes get to go off base, and for my birthday, I think it was the first Venom. I think the first Venom came out, and we went and watched that in 5D. I was like, this is the best ever. Like, Marvel gave me a birthday present, and this is so great. And then, Venom 2 comes out a few years later around my birthday. I was like, man, Venom must be a Libra because this is great. Um, so there's a lot of lows, and hmm, when we were first trying to get overseas, we had to wait like an additional week or two over in oh my goodness, in Fort Hood. And because I don't know what was going on, but we had to wait an additional time. But we had already had our 4-day pass. And normally when you come back, you're supposed to like have a pee test and everything and find out like if you're pregnant or not. Well, we didn't have that. And like we're sitting here waiting for extra time, like just literally hanging around waiting. And so we didn't like that didn't happen, especially and before we even left for the deployment, like we were doing our pre-mob stuff. Um I learned how my section was going to be early on when I started setting up my tote box, and I brought duct tape. And all of my new people, they're like, "What's that for?" And I'm like, "That's a tool you're going to learn later." Because like there was only a small handful of us that had been previously deployed, so we already knew what was up. We knew what to expect. So put duct tape on all that stuff. I was like, it's going to be easier for you to find. And then I'm done packing up my stuff, and the others are still kind of waiting or still packing up their stuff. So I go over to help them, and my supply sergeant comes up to me and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm helping the others." She's like, "Just worry about yourself." Like, "But we're a representation of you, right?" She's like, "No, just worry about yourself. Don't worry about others." That's not what supply does, but okay. So I was learning a lot about my boss. And so we get overseas and we start taking care of everything, start getting established. Um, there were a lot of things that went down in the supply, in our supply tent area. And it's like there was clear favoritism, and obviously it wasn't me. Just because I was an E4, I wasn't an E5, that I wasn't a section leader, I was stuck doing the work, which I didn't mind. I'd much rather be working. But any of my expertise, it wasn't like relied on, or hey, like I have questions. And then it got to a point where our little section of E4s, we all just kind of banded together, and we were all just like mad about like what was going on. Someone had recently got promoted to E5, and so that immediately went to his head. And so I got to a point where I was cleaning out the supply closet and I was organizing it, but apparently I wasn't going fast enough, so how dare I? And one of the section leaders, she came in to talk to me, and I was just like so frustrated and irritated and angry. And instead of saying things I didn't want to say out loud, I stepped out and I went out of the tent. Apparently that was me leaving my post, and I got a counseling. And because I left the supply thing unattended, which I did not, I had handed her the lock with the key. She was still in there. That wasn't me leaving the post. That was me getting away from a really hard situation where I didn't want to say things.
Right.
So fast forward a little bit, things are getting worse. And so I end up going and I submit an EO complaint. And so that means I have to go over and talk to the battalion command sergeant major. And so I'm talking to him and kind of telling him what's going on. And I'm like I being that leader, I'm like I want to take care of my people. I don't want to take care of myself first. Like, and so we finally have a mediation. I wrote down all of my notes so that I would not get lost and I could keep track. I made it through 2 points and they had me just in tears because they're just continuing to defend my supply sergeant, saying that, oh, it's okay doing what she's doing. Like, but it's not okay because other people in other sections are coming to me and telling me that her bedside manner is very lacking and she just tells everybody no. And like, that's not really how a supply sergeant should be. I may be wrong because I don't know. She got to a staff sergeant, but I made it through 2 points, and then the command sergeant major was like, "Is there anything else you need to talk about? Because I have other places to be." Like, oh,
Wow.
No, I don't have anything else to talk about. So left it at that, and things kind of smoothed over for a little bit, but then things started heating back up again. And so they come in because they know I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. I'm not keeping my mouth shut. When I see something wrong, I'm going to say something. And so the command sergeant major or whatever came in and was like, hey, like, we remember you saying that you wanted to kind of leave the area and whatever, do something different or whatever. Like, that's not what I said. They're like, well, we're going to move you into a different section and you're going to teach this other guy in a week what he's supposed to be doing. Well, I do a lot. I don't know if he can get everything done in a week. And I am so great at Barney styling everything down. Like, I PowerPoint everything. Like, here's your step by step by step of how to do things. He couldn't grasp it. And I'm like, I had a week to put everything together. This is what I got. And then he's supposed to be teaching me how to do his job. I gotta give him credit. He tried. I don't know what his system was. It was very confusing, but he was trying. So I ended up tweaking it and fixing it and everything. And then I had a couple people in my section that like came over and would come talk to me, and they're like, "Yeah, this person's mad at you because you left." Like, I didn't choose to leave. They told me to leave. Like, I can't do anything about that.
Right.
And I did think it was kind of funny because one of them had to take over part of my job and then the boss had to do the other part of my job because like he just couldn't grasp what he was supposed to be doing. So I realized that was, hey, let's not take care of the situation. Let's take care of the situation. And then at the very end of the deployment, all hell broke loose. Everybody E4 and below got an AAM, even if we deserved an ARCOM. We got an AAM. Everybody E5 and above got ARCOMs, and additionally, people would just hop into a helicopter or plane, land over in an active duty place, hop back on to another plane to come back, and that's how they would get their deployment patch. Like, I was so mad about that, like, so upset. But all of that's not the kicker. The kicker is we ended up adding to the population while overseas. And then we find out about it, and we have this whole like you unit meeting or whatever, and they're like, don't say anything, blah blah blah, like we're happy to have this blessing. But yet then when we go home, it's like, well, how are we going to get this baby home? We left the mom and the baby overseas, and it took them, I think, a month or so to get back home. So when I say the unit made it a deployment, the unit made it a deployment.
Gotcha. Okay, let's do you want to move into how you got your injury?
Sure.
Okay.
So when I came home, I had landed an AGR job as a recruiter, which I was like, okay, great. This will get my foot in the door, and then I can switch over to supply sergeant, which is what I really want to do because I wanted to become a PBO officer. And so usually you get like a 3-month reprieve before you have to like show up to your unit and everything. Well, being a recruiter, no, you got to go to your drill because those are your prospects. Those are going to be the people that are going to bring you in. It's like, okay, so I'm going to go. Well, it was January 12th, 2019, and the weather was really bad, really terrible conditions. My friend and I, like he came up from where he was and he stayed at my house the night before. And so we got up early. We were going to take his vehicle. He was really proud to have it. Well, it didn't get up the hill. And I was like, okay, well, we're just going to transfer everything to my car. I had this feeling in the pit of my stomach, and I should have listened to it. But, how you can't tell your unit, hey, I had a bad feeling, so I can't come in, continue the mission. Yeah. So you end up, at first my car wasn't going to get up the hill, but then it did. And so we got up out on the road, and we were driving. Normally everybody on the interstate's driving, 70, 75 miles an hour. We were driving like 30, 45. And so we were maybe about two miles away from the exit we needed to go on. In hindsight, like, I'm really glad we didn't get on that road because that road's nothing but curves and that would have been really bad. But I ended up hitting a patch of ice, and I spun around a couple times, and I hit the side of the guardrail. Everything was kind of okay, and I'm like, we're facing traffic, so I'm like, we're just going to get back out, and we're going to kind of reassess everything later at a later time. But then I realized that my trunk was popped open once we got back out. So we pulled off on the side of the road, put the hazards on. I asked my buddy to get out of the car to help close the trunk because, like, my hands were shaking. And he's like, Amanda, it's not closing. What? I heard him. It just didn't process. So I got out, and we're both trying to close it. And I start grabbing an bungee cord to try to close it. And like, you know what? We're going to fix this, and we'll figure it out later. And no sooner than I had grabbed my hand around the bungee cord, he's like, Amanda, watch out. But it's kind of too late. Getting hit from behind by another vehicle. And so 1 minute you're up, the next moment you're down, and you don't really know how it happened. So I'm kind of in the back of my, I'm in the back of my car, but then somehow I got on the side of my car. And so, I was face down. I couldn't hear anything for a while, and I saw a pair of boots. And he saw me kind of trying to turn around because I kept hearing my buddy Colin, freaking out like, oh my God, Amanda, we just got hit. Oh my God. And I'm like, well, like, I know he's in PTs and I'm in my uniform, so like maybe I can provide him a little warmth. And the guy who hit us, he's like, don't move. You don't know what's happened. Like, I got mad and I'm like, well, I need to see what's going on because no, this is not cool. So I didn't really feel any pain until I rolled over. And that's when everything just started hurting so much. And he's on the other side of my car. And so I start dragging, scooting my body over, and my right leg is just dragging along with it. I can't move it. I can't do anything. And it takes a little bit of time, but I get over there and I kind of calm down a little bit. I haven't really said much then. And then we kind of started talking all kind of quiet a little bit. And he starts asking the driver if he can grab his phone so he can make phone calls. Well, both my work phone and my phone, he kept finding those. And I'm like, I am not coherent enough to be able to make any phone call right now. Apparently this guy was also heading to drill, so that was fun. So I start calming down a little bit, and I'm like, okay, like, I'm going to try to sit up to start to assess what's going on. And I kind of sit myself up, and I just see my pant leg is covered in blood. So, it freaks me out, and I went right back down, and I'm like, oh my God, Colin, I'm bleeding. Oh my God, I'm bleeding. But like, now, like, years later, I will always have a tourniquet in my car and scissors in my car because I know exactly where those are and I can tell somebody. But I did not then. So he had the driver who hit us, he had him make some phone calls, call 911 and everything. I think there was a semi truck driver that was trying to help. The ambulance, it took a little bit of time for it to show up, but the fire truck and the ambulance showed up, so they're trying to take care of us. And I hear them say, in order to take care of me, they had to take care of him first because I needed to be taken out first when we got to the hospital. Like, okay, that's reassuring. So we first get to IU Bloomington, and my injuries are so severe that they can't take care of me. And they wanted to fly me in the bird to IU Methodist, but the weather was so terrible they couldn't do that either. So they had to get another ambulance. And my friend could have stayed at Bloomington, but he's like, I want to go with her. So we get to IU Methodist, and they get me in there. I'm in surgery. Like, they said I probably got hit around 6 a.m. and they didn't reestablish blood flow until about 2 p.m.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah. It was great. So fun. Would not recommend. So about 2 p.m. they reestablished the blood flow. I think I woke up late at night, and my stepmom and my dad were there, and I like looked over because everything was dark, and that's the first time I'd ever called my stepmom mom, and she was like right there, and I was like, "Where's Dad?" And he like came up on the other side of me. And I was in the ICU for about 5 days. I had so many machines hooked up to me. I looked like I was a human version of the Michelin Man because I was so swollen. I had some friends show up, and I didn't know what time I called them, but like, they knew when I called them. They're like, Amanda never calls this early, so they answered. And they got there as soon as they could. Um, my best friend and her husband, they came all the way from Fort Wayne, and that's like 2-3 hours to get down there. So they made the haul, and I was like I'm just so happy to see them. Um, had a few more surgeries before I moved over to the ortho wing, and I was there for about 2 weeks. Had my first panic attack over there because I was stuck to the bed and everybody having to help me, and I'm not used to that because it's just like I'm a very active individual. Please don't help me. I can get up, do everything on my own. I have too much energy in my body, so I just don't sit still. Um, I had some nurses over there who were absolutely wonderful, and they would come in and we would just sit there and talk sometimes, and sometimes we would just cry. Um, I found out that my favorite drug is Dilaudid because it feels really good going through your body.
That's my wife's favorite too.
It kind of calms everything down for just a little bit.
Yep.
Just a little bit. So I ended up leaving for about 2 weeks, or was there for about 2 weeks, and I finally got released, but I was on all sorts of meds and drugs. I had to get shot in my stomach every day and at night too. I was staying with my parents for a few months while all of that was going on. And so we have to come back because I end up having an infection in my leg. So I'm there for like another week. And then I'm gone for like a week or so. I have nurses showing up to do like um, change my. I had a wound vac, so they would change that. I wish they would just put me in surgery every time because it was. I, it's a great machine. It's a great machine, but it hurts so bad. And so there was another time that my Aunt Angie, she ended up taking me somewhere, but um, we were going to do a checkup, and she took me, and we were going to go do things afterwards. And they said that I had another infection, so here I am being admitted again into the hospital for another week. There were many times throughout those first few months that I was just like, I just wish they would amputate my leg. I just wish they would amputate my leg. But I had never vocalized it to anyone, never said a word. And again, I'm doing this all alone, all alone. I'm crying to my dad at night because I'm like I'm so thankful I have you, but I really wish someone was here with me. And he's like, I understand what you're saying. So then my doctor starts talking about amputation, and we finally have that appointment, and he's like, what would you like to do? And it's the first time I've ever tried to say the word out loud, and I could only get to the word amp. I couldn't finish it because I just burst into tears. But the doctor was very understanding, and again, the nurses were so great. So we ended up having the initial amputation April 1st, 2019, on April Fool's Day.
Wow.
And so, like, afterwards, my body was literally, my quality of life was so bad. But then, like, that next day, like, I felt so much better. The doctor comes in and he asked me how I'm doing. I'm like, Doc, you're not going to believe this. He's like, what's that? I was like, I think you amputated the wrong leg. He's like, what? I was like, April Fools. He's just like, oh my God. And my stepmom's like, Amanda, like, April Fools was yesterday. Yeah. it still counts. Still counts.
Love it.
So, yeah, that like having a sense of humor is really great. And I I like to tell people that I got my foot in the door and then I lost it. They're like, "Oh man," I'm like, "It's true though."
You've got to have a sense of humor about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then I'm dealing with the VA, trying to do physical therapy with them and everything, and I eventually start getting back over into my apartment with my roommates. Um, that was very humbling too, trying to take my first shower or bath or whatever, and my roommates are guys, so I'm like, at least one's a medic, so like, it's kind of weird, but it's kind of not. But I'm like, I need you to help me get into the tub. And he's like, okay. I'm like, and I was like, "Oh, we'll just make this work." So then comes, I'm sitting there for a few months, and then we come out in June. The military takes me out to Walter Reed in Maryland, Bethesda in June. And they're like, it's up to you on if you want to come out here or not. We think it would be great for you. Like, okay. So we went, checked it out, visited, and then I took the weekend and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think I need to go. So ended up going, and I was there for 2 years. I was still gung ho on trying to stay in. I wanted to stay in. I just I didn't want to see it end. So I went through physical therapy. I was in prosthetics. I had mental health. I had orthotics. I had plastics. Eventually, we found out I also had a TBI, have a TBI. So that got me over into the NICO, which is the National Intrepid Center of Excellence. So that got me into art, music, and dance therapy.
Okay.
And there, I had chiropractic as well, and I think a couple others, but I made sure everything was done through the hospital. I hated everything about the military. I was so mad at them. I didn't want to talk to them. Like, I was part of the WTB, Warrior Transition Brigade, but I didn't want them dealing with my care. I was like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. And like, it's not them that I hate, but I hate the Army. So like, no, I want nothing to do with you. Um, so I was in PT about 5 days a week. I had a couple more surgeries while I was there. And I think at that time that was like surgery 11 or 12. I had some revisions and things. Eventually I end up medically retiring. So that took me, that was August 31st of 2021. And from there, I went back home to Indiana for a little bit, but I didn't want to stay because like I'd become somebody that wasn't me from before. My dad wanted me to stay, and I'm like, I can't stay. You can't put a butterfly back into a cocoon and call it a caterpillar. You can't.
Yeah.
So I ended up coming back out to Virginia, and I bought my house on my own, and I was still a below knee amputee at the time. My prosthetist called me the cupcake amputee because I was just so small underneath. I literally had maybe like 3-4 inches of bone underneath my knee.
Okay.
And it was just an uphill battle. I called it, I was walking with a cane. I called it my pimp walk because I would lean every time because like it hurt and it didn't feel good. We tried all sorts of different systems to get it working right. We were trying a lot, and it just wasn't working. Within maybe about a month or so of me buying my house, I was stuck out of my leg because it had gotten swollen that I couldn't fit into it. Um, and I was like, well, I got to finish painting up my master bedroom at least. And so here I am on the ladder, and I'm hoisting myself up using my arms to finish painting the room. And I bought a new bed, and I asked the furniture people if they would help me move my old bed into the other room. They're like, they probably won't. It's like, okay, bet. I'll figure this out. So I don't even get in my leg all the way. I just get in it enough to be able to start taking my bed apart and moving it into the other room. So I did it. Was it smart? Probably not. Um, so they come in, they're putting my bed together, and then come about May, I'm getting amputated higher as an above knee. For me specifically, they call me a knee dysartic. So I am a through the knee amputee, meaning that I have the base of my femur, because I mean, I didn't have any infections above my femurs, but that entailed that they had to take 2 inches of my femur out, put a metal titanium rod through there, and put it back up so that my knees could be level. And
Does that
in
make it?
that they try,
Is that what
yeah,
makes? Does that make it easier to walk? Is that trying to balance the?
I
What's
think
the
so.
science behind doing that? I guess.
Um, from I mean, imagine your feet, right? Like
Okay.
you have a really great base, but all of a sudden you take half of that foot out. Like you don't have that base to walk on. So as above knees, you take that femur out, and all you got is this bone. Like you don't have that base. So having that base of that femur is kind of your foot. So it's having a bigger base helps walk a lot.
Got it. Okay.
Um,
Sorry to interrupt there.
yeah, no, you're fine. Please ask the questions.
Okay, I actually do have another one. Why I've got you interrupted. Um, 2019. You were going through all this during COVID.
Yes. Oh, yes. I had to have a
Um,
couple of my surgeries on pause because all of this was happening. And
okay.
all the things that was available at Walter Reed normally, all of the dinners and people that would come to visit and everything, I
Yeah,
didn't get to have that experience.
I was gonna say that probably brought back. I mean, how was your visitors? I mean, you were back to again super alone. I'm assuming. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
God.
I didn't really have a lot of visitors at all. Um, and to be honest, which is really sad, I had kind of had to beg my parents to come out for one of my surgeries to do a revision. Because like they know that I'm strong. They know that I can take care of myself, and they're like, well, you're pretty okay. We don't really need to come out, but I want you to.
Yeah.
So it was like I had to beg them to come out. I did have one of my friends come out, and that was so wonderful. Um, I guess my PTSD or something like activated during he was doing something really dumb, and it flipped me out, and we're like video chatting with one of our other friends, and she realized what was going on because her boyfriend was going through PTSD like that, and she had to kind of help me, and I didn't realize it, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
Um, hmm, yeah. Not a lot of visitors. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to make friends because I was like, I don't care. Like, I don't care about these people. But eventually I started making friends, and they were pretty great. Like, they kind of we all held each other kind of together, because without them it probably would have been even worse.
Yeah.
But we were all mad, together.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, you can pick back up. I forgot where you were at.
Got amputated higher.
Yeah, and you were talking about the base and the post, and so you got
Yeah.
this. You went up a little bit higher, and
Yeah. So in May of 22, and then I think that kind of, to be honest, sums up all of the injuries.
okay.
But my higher amputation wasn't as bad, and like, I did that one on my own. And then I had to have like a taxi or something like that, like a medical vehicle, take me back to my house, because I didn't have anybody to pick me up and take me home. Excuse me. So I end up coming home, and my house is 2 floors, and I have steps to get into my house. So it's a little hard. And then I have this puppy who's energetic, wants to play around everything, and I just kind of can't. Like, I'm extremely limited. She wants to go outside, play outside, but I have a deck, and I can't get down those steps. I can't do those things. And so I make it work, but there are still limitations. And being alone during all of that time, it got really bad. Like, there were many times I would have ideations, and it would make me cry, because I didn't want to have those thoughts.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, like, being so depressed and just nobody there, because like, I moved to a place where nobody knew me, nobody knew anything. But like, I kind of liked that part, because I come from a town where everybody knows everything. So I just kind of hid from the world. But then when I would go down these rabbit holes, I would go down extreme rabbit holes. And it was like I was taking off the rose-colored glasses off of my eyes for a lot of things going on in the world. It was kind of like I detached myself from the real world, you know?
Yeah.
I don't ever want to do that again, because it's scary. It's very scary. So eventually I started getting into adaptive sports. As a below knee amputee, for a brief moment, I had tried to do snowboarding.
Okay.
Not so great, because I'm just a little tiny thing trying to make it work. But as an above knee, it was like my world opened up, and I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Like, I love everything about it. Like, oh my God, let's go. I think one year I was out on the snow almost 2 months, because I was just back to back to back to back to back as much as I could. And so I think the fastest speed I've clocked overall has been 50 miles per hour.
Good.
And it's been controlled. And I slowed down, and the instructors with me were like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I was just going really fast." And they're like, "Well, okay, let's keep going." Yeah, okay. I've also started learning how to
Had
do
you
one.
ever snowboarded prior to this, or is this your first experience with snowboarding?
Hell no, I'm from Indiana. There's nothing over there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Um, so I love the snowboarding. I've started learning how to do 180s and 360s, and that's freaking epic. Um, it just feels like you're floating, and it's like I can't really run, but when I get under that board, it's like my world just lights up, and it is my therapy. I light up and just, especially getting up on the lift and getting far away from like buildings and everything, you just see the trees and the snow, and you like, all the skiers are like, them damn snowboarders, and we're like, you skiers, like,
Right?
you guys don't sit back, sit down, and enjoy the views. Guys just go. Like, we're over here, like, man, like, let's talk about some real shit and just take in these views. Um,
So where do you
Snowboarding.
snowboard in Virginia? Does it get decent snow there?
We get decent snow. I go out to Massanutten. That's like my local mountain, which is like, now from where I'm living now is like, an hour to 2 hours away. Not terrible.
Okay.
Um, but I've also been out to Camp Stowe in Vermont. I've been out to Steamboat Stars in Colorado. Been out to Snowmass in Aspen. Um, I've been to a few places, and I'm hoping to, this season coming up, going to Utah at the National Ability Center. I put in an inquiry with them, so hopefully I can get out there for a good amount of time. I've also been
Well,
out
if you
to
can, let me
Whitetail.
know. So we've
Yeah,
got a special needs son that skis up there at the NAC Center. We call it the NAC National Ability Center. And incredible, incredible program up there. It's very awesome.
awesome. Awesome. I'm hoping to get to the Paralympics. I would love to for snowboarding. I tried to for 2026. However, my sound knee said no.
Okay.
I ended up popping it like literally 4 days before I was supposed to go to Breckenridge. And I was like, "Oh no!" And like, I'm like, "I'm not going." And like I was more upset over the fact I wasn't going than the pain. Like, yes, it hurt, but I was like so upset. And my boyfriend, we had just started dating. He's like, "It'll be okay." No, it's not. It's not okay.
Oh, it's terrible.
So he ends up. It takes me about a week to get standing back up. And all my friends tried to give me encouragement. You'll get to go, man. No, I just know it. Um, so trying to get to the bathroom that next day was really hard because the bathroom is about 50 feet away, maybe. And so trying to get off the bed with practically no knees, how the hell do I do that?
Yeah.
um, but I ended up having my ACL reconstruction and meniscal repair in April, which is wild. Dealing with the VA, like I had the injury occur in December, and I didn't get the surgery until April.
Wow.
And then since then, it has been games with the VA with my legs. And so it's like, well, you've had all these problems, and we don't want to change too much without having all of this going on. I'm like, I don't want to miss my snowboard season again. And so they wanted to do change my socket, and then they wanted to change my knee, and then all this stuff. And like they've been trying to save money by not having to give me new legs all the time. So we added um before the surgery, we added flexible walls, and so we had a BOA system that would kind of, on my leg, it would be like right here, and then on the other side, and like the BOA is similar to this guy, but I could twist him, right? Like snowboard boots. And it would tighten up the
Okay. Yep.
walls or I could loosen it. Um so that thing was really heavy. And my friends over here like to call them trophies. When I take my leg off, they're trophies and they'll carry them around for me. I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Do
um
you have multiple legs
oh,
for different
oh
events?
absolutely.
Okay.
Multiple
Yeah.
legs for different things.
Okay.
The snowboard leg, I have a knee called the Moto 2 knee. And
Okay.
so it has a piston inside of it. And so I can change the levels of like how stiff I want it to be. And so when I come down to like get into my heel edge, I can pop right back up so I can get onto that toe edge easier.
Got it.
Um
Technology is it's so crazy. It's
it
so
is
amazing how
crazy.
far it's come.
And it's going to
That is
keep changing
fascinating.
even more.
Yeah.
Um, I have a high heel leg with a foot called the aligned foot. And so there's this little knob at the bottom of the foot that I can push, and I can push the foot to go into like a different level of high heels. Um, I walk extremely slow with them because I don't feel so confident, but
Mhm.
like that was the one thing about me that I really liked before I got injured was my legs. And like I was always wearing heeled boots or wedges. Like I loved heels. Um
Yeah.
so it's nice to kind of occasionally get back to that. Um I have my everyday walking leg. And so that helps out so much in like I'm trying to relearn how to walk up the steps because right now I'm like a baby and I just go step, 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 instead of step over step.
One at a
Um,
time.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I feel really slow when I'm going up the steps, so that really sucks. And I'd like to be feel more normal. Um, so I've been doing snowboarding, right? But I also do hand cycling, and I really enjoy that. Now, don't get me wrong, snowboarding is my love, but I enjoy hand cycling. And I've done the Army 10 miler. Each year I've taken first place, and that's been 3 years.
Nice.
Um, and the Marine Corps Marathon, I participated in that for 3 years as well. First year, I took first place. Second year, I had some vehicle trouble, so I had to stop on the side and fix it. And then my friend ended up having some vehicle trouble, and oh man, he was getting ready to get up that hill, and I was like, "Oh, dude, you're gonna be sucking at life." So I helped him nudge him off to the side. And I'm like, "Do you need help?" He's like, "No, no, I'll figure it out. It's okay." I'm like, "Okay." And so I went up and I was sucking up that hill too because I had stopped to try to help him. Oh boy. So I didn't place that year, but I wasn't really trying to. And then last year I participated in it and I didn't even train and I took third place. So
Nice.
I'm extremely happy about that.
As you should be. Right on.
um so I do hand cycling. Excuse me. My love is um I enjoy oh my gosh. Um wheelchair softball. Like that's
That's
just
what is that where you met Johnny?
that's one of the places like we hang
Okay.
out there, but I met him. I think I did meet him at the Warner Sports Clinic, but I think we really started hanging out a lot more at the wheelchair games when we did the wheelchair softball. And like we
Yeah.
just yeah.
He's done every imaginable adaptive. I mean, he's done it all. But he told me his favorite by far is the softball. He
Yeah,
loves the
I love
softball.
the softball too. It's a blast. It's so much fun. and like that's my team event. So I'm here for it, and I love learning. I love embracing it. I just recently went to an education conference provided for us by Move United, and I got to learn about amputee soccer. I'm like, this is so cool. And so I just got invited to go to a play a game in New York at the end of July with the women's team. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, please, let's
Oh
sign
yeah.
me up. Like, I would love to do that. Like, when I was starting to learn to play with them during that like hour or so, like I wasn't really seeing people like play, and then like I started seeing others, so I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm here. Let's go for that. So then I was like, I'm just going to be on this defensive over here and try to get in front of these people. So that was such a blast.
Nice.
So that's going to be my new adventures.
And you're doing that this July, correct?
This July, yes.
Where's that take place at?
In New York.
Oh, you did say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nice.
Actually, at the end of this month, I am leaving to go to Ukraine for a strongman competition. So, I've had, because I've been on so many trips, I haven't really had much time to train, but I get to represent Team USA, and I've got to train for at least a week, and I have 2 more weeks to kind of train for it. And I'm like, all of these starting out are like my maxes, because like I have to like lift for an amateur. I have to lift, do a bench press, 110 pounds. That's my max. And I'm like, good Lord, how many times can I do that in 60 seconds? How far can I go on an air bike in 60 seconds? Kettlebell jerks at 35 pounds. And I'm like, I can't stand still with the kettlebell jerk. It pushes me forward every time with that 35 pounds. I'm like, ah. So,
What's an air bike?
it's pretty much, it's a bike with a fan inside of it.
I got to do a Google search here. My mind is like, I can't put this together. All right. Okay, gotcha.
Okay. So we do that. We do the kettlebell jerks, not the deadlifts, bench pressing, and then it's how fast can you get to 100 meters on the row, which is not going to take long. But then it's also how far can you go in a minute and a half. So,
Okay.
I'm not so strong on the air bike right now, but I tried doing it with just my left leg, and I managed to get to 14 calories or whatever it was. And then I tried it with both of my legs the other day, and I also made it to 14. But like, that's a new exercise for me, I guess, trying to use both. And so I have to train. I got to train on that air bike, because I want to be able to represent Team USA. Like I'm going to do that with pride, but I want to show them I got some oomph, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of all of my sports. My dog's over here.
Oh, nice.
She's staring at me from
I saw your
the
post on Facebook. You just get a new dog. You used to rescue a new one.
yeah,
Love it.
he's 8
How
weeks
fun.
old. He's so
Nice.
cute.
What kind of dog is it?
We're not really sure, but we think he's got shepherd in him, and can't remember what Chris said. It also, like, we think it could also be like a black mouth cur, maybe, but um oh, Chris said that it could be he could be part Labrador and part shepherd. Like, he's so cute. He's so cute.
You should get a DNA test. When my wife and I first started dating, or were we married then? No, we had to have been just after we had got married. It was our first Christmas together. We did the DNA tests. We did the ancestry DNA stuff. And then we decided just for fun, we were going to get our dogs done as well because she had her dog and I had picked up a rescue. And I was getting into duck hunting and the rescue told me it was a black lab. And I'm like, oh, labs are great for hunting. I'll be great. So we brought her home, did the DNA test. No, she's got like 2% black lab. She's half Australian cattle dog and half Doberman. And then she's got a couple of little mutt things, but she's awesome. I love her. But like you're saying, all she wants to do is run. She wants to run and play and get out and chase frisbees and run. And yeah, she's a good dog. But also extremely protective and territorial. And so anybody tries to come between me and her, she's got to step up and she doesn't know somebody, she's got to bark at them. Yeah, it's wild. But I love
That's my puppy dog because it was just her and I for so long. And now, like, Chris is in the picture and he's been in the picture for a good while. But, like, she still, like, can't get out of that protect mom mode. And I'm just like, it's okay. I promise it's okay.
Yeah.
She
Dogs
don't.
are awesome. They're so sensitive to know that kind of stuff. And it's annoying, but at the same time, you're like, thank you. I love it. It's good to know. So
yeah.
Okay, well, that is exciting that you've got some things coming up, things to look forward to with the adaptive sports there. And I wish you all the best for sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else that we're missing? Anything else you might want to share?
I guess the one thing I do want to share is my art. So I briefly mentioned when I was at Walter Reed, I was involved in art, music, and dance therapy. Well, when I first got into art therapy, I was like, I don't know what this is going to do. This isn't going to help. No, it absolutely helped. I spent like 45 plus hours on this project putting something together to explain what was going on inside my head with words I could not express. And then I took that piece and I combined it with my dance and music therapy into one big project. And so that was just absolutely wonderful. I'm additionally working on a case study about the creative arts and the importance of having that alongside your therapies. Because yes, having talk therapy is great, but it's not a cure-all. Because sometimes you can't say things or you don't know what you're trying to say or how to understand things until you see it visually. So, I created this piece and it's beautiful. And so now, I'm an abstract artist, multimedia, and I like to use acrylics. And so I have my business that I've called One Leg Productions. And I create art that is expressive. Sometimes I have more of a deep meaning to it, but sometimes I also like to leave it up for the viewer to figure out what it says to them. So, and that's what I love about art. It's so subjective. It's for anybody. And like, if they're in that mindset of like, let me sit down and actually see what this is, it's wonderful because it opens up a world of conversations.
That's awesome. You got involved with that at Walter Reed. What am I trying to say here? I know I've heard of the creative arts festivals and stuff, that the different VA programs and stuff. Do you stay involved with those? Have you participated in those? Is that where you do a lot of
Um,
this, or is it just on the
I
side of your own business?
just kind of on the side. I've had people tell me that I need to get into the creative arts festivals and stuff. And like there's a national one or whatever, or with the VA, and I just haven't done that yet. I know I should because I have some pieces that would just extremely open conversations, and then would just make you go, "Oh." Um, right now it's kind of been on my own. I have a lot of
Okay.
I have a lot of pieces. I mean, I have a website up, and then I additionally have a portfolio that will dive into further explanations of some of my other pieces, because some of those pieces aren't for sale. So you can find those on my portfolio.
When we get done here, will you text me a link to that portfolio and I'll add it to show notes on this so
Of
people can go
course.
see it? Hell yeah. Very cool. Okay. Um, that is awesome. I can't wait to see some of that. Like
Thank you.
that is awesome. Um, okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, Amanda, it has been a pleasure hearing your stories, talking to you, getting to know you a little bit better. Thank you for your service. Um, you had talked about those depressive times and the ideations and, those dark places. And I know um, a lot of us veterans go through them at various times for various reasons. Um, and it's always inspiring and helpful to hear those that make it through, and those that have the pointers and the advice and that feedback to um, find an outlet.
Mm.
And for a lot of those, I mean, I've done several episodes now with those getting into the adaptive sports. Um, I got into the adaptive sports up here with my own VA, just going through the same kind of a thing. I was needing the therapy. I was missing the camaraderie. Um, and my therapist just told me one day, she's like, "You ever considered adaptive sports?" I'm like, "What the hell's that going to do for me?" I mean, like,
Mm.
it didn't click. It didn't make any sense. I'm like, how is that therapy? How is that helping me get better? How is that helping me to overcome pain? All these kind of things that I was going through. So I was very negative about it. Um, but Dana got me out there on the ice. And that's when I met Brad. And I got in that sled, and kind of like you were saying with the snowboarding, you just feel something and it just kind of changes your world, and it opens up a new hope and a new life and reality that you can find some enjoyment in for the things that you've lost. And I love that you found that, and I love that you found it in multiple areas, so you're not just tunneled into one thing. um that's awesome, and I hope you will continue to be a champion to those that are struggling in there. I love the fact that um they have these programs, like you've got the chance to meet Johnny and Wendy, and these, it builds a community. um I commend and respect you for that. And
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate you coming on the cast and sharing your story.
I appreciate being here. I appreciate being able to share my story because I think other people need to absolutely hear it, especially those who are struggling and feel like they are in over their head, or that the world is caving in, or that it's the world against them.
Yeah. No, I love that. There is hope. There is hope out there. There's programs. There's ways to get help. There's ways to get involved. Johnny shared miles lists of every. There's so many programs out there, and the kind of the military, the veteran, the VA, I should say. I kind of feel it's this: if you don't ask, you don't know what you don't know, and if you don't ask, they're not going to tell you.
Oh,
And so
absolutely.
yeah, so you've got to take the proactive effort to ask around, do some research, get connected. And once you kind of do, a lot of doors open and there's a lot of very awesome programs out there, a lot of nonprofits, a lot of people really trying to help make a difference and make that impact. And it changes lives for people like you and me and Johnny and those that whose lives turned upside down and weren't quite expecting it. Um, I found it fascinating with Johnny's story, and I guess as well with yours. I mean, you were still his accident happened after he was out, drunk driving in Mexico one night, and we don't really think about that when we think about, typically you see a veteran, they've lost a limb or something, and they're wounded. Everybody just kind of automatically assumes it happened in combat or happened in war or something like that. People myself included, when I was listening to Johnny, I was like, it didn't cross my mind the injuries that we sustain post service, mental, emotional, physical, etc. And so there's some awareness there, and yeah, I love what you're doing.
Thank you. I like what you're doing too, helping
I
get our
love it.
stories out.
I love it. People ask me all the time, they're like, "Oh, you have a podcast. What's it about?" I don't know. I don't know how to explain what my podcast is. The best I can explain it to people is I like to interview people who inspire me, and it doesn't matter what it's about. I've shared this many times on the podcast before, but I'll share it for you. The Come Hang podcast came about 3 years ago during COVID. My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. About 9 months after, no, it was the first year. It was just after we hit our first year anniversary. She got diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. She was going through breast cancer during COVID. I couldn't go to the hospital to be with her there. So she spent weeks. At one point, I think it was almost a month that she was in there, in and out of the hospital. And I was home alone. I didn't have my kids, and they'd be with their mom for the weekend. And so I was at home and I would be sitting out in my garage, self-medicating, depressed, and it hit me one night that I wish I had someone that would just come hang and talk. I don't care about what. I just need someone to come talk, someone to open up and to let's just share stories and let's, sit around the bonfire and talk, whatever. And so I decided to start a podcast. And I'm like, I want to just interview people. I want to talk, come hang, open up, share your stories. I don't care what it's about. I love interviewing veterans. I've done some addiction recovery stories. My boss is a recovered heroin addict. Turned his whole life around. Now he runs a multi-million-dollar plumbing company, largest privately owned company, plumbing company in the state. So there's inspiring and impactful people out there everywhere. And I love finding them, talking to them, understanding their stories and sharing it, because I think it gives hope to those that need it, whatever it's about. So.
Absolutely.
Okay. Amanda, thank you so much. I hope you had some guests that had a chance to listen in. I didn't see anybody comment in on the chats, but if not, we'll get this edited and hopefully I'll get it out published here in a day or two.
Okay.
A couple things. Again, if you'll send me that link for your portfolio, as well as if you have any, a special picture that you might want me to use for the cover art for this episode, if you'll send me that.
Okay.
And did I send you a patch yet?
You did.
You did get it?
Yes.
Okay.
I got it. Johnny messaged me today and was like, he called me and he's like, yeah, I've got a patch for you. I'm like, he's already sent me one.
I was going to comment on there because I saw his comment there. Hey, I'm so glad you're doing the podcast. I've got a patch for you. And in my mind, I'm like, no, I already sent her one. Keep your patches. But then I'm like, oh crap, did I send one? Awesome. I'm glad you got one. My last request for you, as you continue on in your journeys, if you find someone who's got a story to tell, and can pay it forward and send that referral to me and introduce them to me, I'd love that. So,
Absolutely.
okay.
Always.
All right. You enjoy. Go start training.
Okay. Yes,
All right.
sir.